So welcome back to another video on this channel now, and today we're doing yet another tier list video, except in today's one I'm going to be taking all the current 20 Premier League managers and basically ranking them from best to worst. But yeah, before we get into this video I just want to say quickly as well, obviously Leeds have been promoted and Norwich have recently been relegated, so you would expect me to have Marcelo Bielsa in instead of Daniel Farka. However, I am going to do it purely based on the managers that I've managed in the 2019-2020 campaign, and then maybe in the near future I might do an updated one with the promoted managers included and the relegated managers not included. And yeah, before we get into this video, a quick disclaimer like I usually have to say when I get into these videos: this video is purely based on my opinion. All the managers I have in these set categories in this tier list video is purely based on my opinion, nothing more, nothing less, so do not take it as anything more than that. And yeah, let's get straight into this video now. So here, as you can see on your screen, are the tiers we are going for in this tier list video. So the top one is elite level, the second one is good, the third one down is okay, the fourth one is average, and the bottom one is not Premier League level. And yeah, let's get straight into this now, starting off with Arsenal's new manager Mikel Arteta, who has been there for around 6 or 7 months now in fairness. And yeah, I've stuck him in the good section as you can see on your screen, and to be fair, I did think it was only fair to really put him in the okay section simply because he's a very inexperienced manager and has only been managing for like 6 or 7 months now. But I feel like he just does have that aura that he's going to be a top class manager in the future, whether it be Arsenal or elsewhere. I mean, he's already done very well for Arsenal in a short space of time and really made a lot out of very little in terms of the squad he has, and he's very much improved Arsenal's defence as well as their attack in the time he's been there. But yeah, I definitely do think that he can take Arsenal to another level if he does get back in the transfer window. And yeah, I think he's been a very good manager for Arsenal so far in the short space of time, and that's why I've put him in the good section. And now the next one we're going for is the current Aston Villa manager Dean Smith, who of course got Aston Villa promoted last season after a very shaky start to the Championship season. And yeah, as you can see, I've put him in the not Premier League level, maybe one that might spark a bit of debate in the comment section below. But yeah, there's no doubt that he's been a brilliant manager in the Championship and in the lower leagues. I mean, he did very well with Brentford in the Championship to my knowledge, and he also managed to take over a quite poor Aston Villa side last season and managed to just spring them up the table, and of course they did end up winning the playoffs against Derby County in the final. But so far this season I don't think he's proved really that he is up to the task at Premier League level as of right now. I mean, they spent like between 80 to 90 million pounds or even more in the summer transfer window, and I'm sorry, if you spend that much like Fulham did last season, you just have to stay up or else you're going to be in a lot of criticism. They really should be staying up comfortably with a squad like that, and who knows, they may still stay up, but if they do, it'll be by the absolute skins in their teeth, and that's why I put Dean Smith in the bottom category. Next one now, the third manager in this tier list video is Bournemouth manager Eddie Howe. Now I've put him in the okay section, slap bang in the middle, and don't get me wrong, the achievements Eddie Howe has done at Bournemouth have been just absolutely just borderline miraculous if anything. He's taken what is pretty much a League 1, League 2 level club into the Premier League, and not only that, he's managed to keep them there for like 4 or 5 seasons. However, the reason I've put him in the okay section and not any higher is simply because Bournemouth have not lived up to expectations this season. They do look like they're going straight back down, and I know it's probably unfair of me to judge him on this one season when he has had multiple good years at Bournemouth and got him into the Premier League and managed to keep him up, etc. But yeah, even compared to the rest of the managers in this tier list that I've got above Eddie Howe, I just think that he fits into the okay section in this video, and that is obviously where I've put him. Next manager now joining Eddie Howe in the okay bracket in this video is Brighton manager Graham Potter, of course, just about to finish his first season in charge at Brighton after taking over from Swansea in the summer. But yeah, he came into the Premier League as a very inexperienced manager at the highest level. He did manage to manage Östersunds in Sweden and did very well with Swansea last season, so I think he has done a very good job at Brighton so far, and he does play very good football as well. And to be fair, they've actually kind of exceeded expectations in my opinion, because I did think that they would go down this season simply because of the inexperience of Potter and the fact that the good football Brighton play might not have kept them up. However, it seems to have done so because Brighton did today draw with Newcastle to secure their place in the Premier League next season. So that's fair play to Graham Potter and of course all the Brighton players and everyone involved with the club. But yeah, I've put him slap bang in the middle in the okay section. Next manager we're going for in this tier list now is Burnley manager Sean Dyche, and I've put him in the second to top category in the good section. Now let's be completely honest here, Sean Dyche has worked absolute miracles at Burnley. Like, let's not get it wrong here. I mean, obviously the football he plays isn't quite fashionable to the naked eye, but the fact he's managed to get this much out of, let's be honest, a really average team and very little resources from the board, I think he has done an exceptional job at Turf Moor, because let's not forget they're finishing in the top half this season more than likely. They managed to finish around mid-table last season, and the season before that they qualified for the Europa League with a very average squad. And yeah, like I said for Mikel Arteta, I think so far at his time at Burnley he has managed to get a lot out of very little resources at the club, and I think he has to be at least in the good manager section in this video. Now the next manager we've gone for in this tier list video is of course my manager Frank Lampard, who I've stuck alongside Sean Dyche in the good category in this video, probably against the general consensus here, which I am being completely unbiased when I say this, and you have my word for that. Frank Lampard has done absolute wonders with us this season. Not only has he lost Eden Hazard, our best player, even our only player to most people, but yeah, he hasn't spent any money because he hasn't been able to. Of course, he's trusted in the youth, which he didn't have to do, and yet to somehow on all of those conditions manage to still get us into the top 4 and potentially an FA Cup win should we beat Arsenal on August the 1st. And yeah, I think Frank Lampard definitely deserves to be backed by us in the summer because he has done an absolutely unbelievable job in his first season, and let's not forget his second season in management. And now the next one we're going for is Crystal Palace's manager Roy Hodgson, who I've stuck again in the okay section. section, right in the middle of this tier list. Now, I was debating whether to put him in the average section, a tier below, but I kind of do rate Roy Hodgson as a manager, especially at the lower end clubs. He's done very good for a lot of Premier League clubs, of course, Liverpool aside, and he's done very well at Crystal Palace with quite an average team, in fairness. I mean, yeah, they do have the likes of Zaha, Milivojevic, you know, those kind of players who are decent Premier League level players. However, he's managed to finish in a mid-table position with Christian Benteke playing nearly every game this season, and he's literally got one goal this season, and of course it was against Chelsea. But yeah, I do think Roy Hodgson is quite an underrated manager, just because, you know, he's not the fashionable, foreign, free-flowing, attacking football kind of manager. But yeah, I do think he's heavily underrated, and that's why I've stuck him in the OK section in this video. Now, the first manager making it into the top tier, the elite level tier, of course, Carlo Ancelotti, the Everton manager. I mean, will anyone really doubt this? Of course, he's only been there, like Arteta, at Everton for like 6 or 7 months, and he's done very well so far to get the best out of the likes of Calvert-Lewin, who has stepped up a level, Mason Holgate. So can you imagine if Carlo Ancelotti gets back to which he should do, because he's literally a world-class manager who's won Champions Leagues and everything. So if Everton don't back him, they're literally setting themselves up to fail, because all the managers they've ever had, Carlo Ancelotti is the best by an absolute country mile. And yeah, he's also a Premier League winner with Chelsea, of course, in the 09-10 season, and I think he's a world-class manager, hence why I've got him in the top section in this video. Next up, we've got Brendan Rodgers, of course, the manager of Leicester currently and former Liverpool and Swansea manager, and I've stuck him in the good section in this video, of course, the second to top tier. He plays some very good football, which is one of the things I mainly like about his teams. And yeah, I know Leicester are kind of the meme of the Premier League at the moment for bottling top 4 completely since the restart, and I know he was part of that Liverpool team that did bottle the title in 2014. I mean, the fact he even managed to take those two teams to where they were is just an achievement in itself, really. Because let's be real, he took a Liverpool team with an absolutely shambolic back 5 to nearly a Premier League title. They were literally a Steven Gerrard slip away from it. And in fairness, if you told a Leicester City fan at the start of the season that they'd even be competing for the Champions League at this stage of the season, they would have bit your hand off. And even though he might have been bottling it, still to get them into that position in the first place is quite a good achievement in itself, and that is why I've put him in the second to top category in the good section of this video. Next manager now is Jurgen Klopp. Don't even have to say anymore. I mean, a Premier League winner, Champions League winner in the last 2 years, a world champion as well. And in my personal opinion, at this very moment in time, he is the best manager in world football. I mean, he's done absolutely wonders with this Liverpool team. He took them from really mid-table obscurity in 2015 and has just completely transformed them over the years. And yeah, I know he's had to spend over like 140 million on the likes of Virgil van Dijk and Alisson to get there, but let's not forget as well, he's managed to buy a lot of cheap players and make them a lot better. I mean, Andy Robertson and Jorginho Wijnaldum both relegated with Hull and Newcastle respectively. Even the likes of Mane and Salah, whose end product was very much questioned before they came to Liverpool. And yeah, he's managed to turn Jordan Henderson into what looks like a world-class footballer. I mean, he's so important to that Liverpool team now, and that is credit to Jurgen Klopp, because the way he plays gets the best out of every single one of his players, and I think he definitely deserves to be in this top tier in this video. I don't think anyone watching this video will have any arguments about that whatsoever. Next manager now, of course, another one that will join Jurgen Klopp in the top tier of this video. It is Pep Guardiola. What do I have to say about him? Like Klopp, an absolutely world-class manager, definitely top 2 or top 3 managers in the world of football. I'm not gonna lie, probably the most successful manager in the last decade or so. I mean, he's won so many trophies with the likes of Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Manchester City, and yeah, I know he's renowned for like spending a lot of money to get there, but still you can't doubt the achievements, because let's be real, the majority of the players he signed at Manchester City weren't world-class when they got there, like the likes of Leroy Sané, Bernardo Silva, Aymeric Laporte, Ederson, you know, Riyad Mahrez. There's a whole host of names that Pep Guardiola has signed for big money, but he has improved literally every single one of them. And I definitely don't think you can use the money excuse as a way to doubt his coaching abilities, because he is a world-class manager and he's proved it in all the success he's achieved at the 3 clubs he's been with in the last decade. And yeah, like Klopp, I don't think many will argue that he should be in the top tier of this video. Now, the next one is probably going to be the one that divides the most opinion in the comment section below. It is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I have stuck him in the middle section in OK. Now look, don't get me wrong, he's got Man United playing some brilliant football at the moment. They went on like a 19-match unbeaten streak in all competitions. But yeah, firstly, we have to, of course, take into account that he did manage to get Cardiff City relegated. I know it wasn't entirely his fault, but that is still on his CV, so you have to mention that. And let's not forget either, even though he's doing very well at United at the moment, his job security still isn't 100% clear at the moment, because you remember for that spell of like 6 or 7 or even 8 months where Manchester United were just getting slapped up by all the smaller teams and even all the bigger teams as well. There was many debating as well that he shouldn't even have got the job on a permanent basis in the first place. And to be honest, I don't get people saying he's an inexperienced manager. He's literally been managing for the last decade or so, which I'm not for one second, you know, discrediting his managerial abilities. I think he's a very good motivator rather than the tactical genius. I've put him in the middle section in the UK bracket in this video. So your next one in this video, we've got Newcastle's current manager Steve Bruce, and I've put him in the average section. Now, of course, he's not really a favourite when it comes to the Newcastle fans. However, I think he's done a decent enough job considering the squad he has. I mean, it's not really a great Newcastle team. I mean, of course, he has a better managerial record at Newcastle than Rafa Benitez, but you could argue that he has been backed a lot more than Rafa Benitez in the transfer market. They spent like 60 million on the likes of Joe Linton and Alan Saint-Maximin. I always thought that they would have just enough to stay up in the end, but he's still done a very good job to keep them afloat in the Premier League for next season. But I have gone for him in the average section in this video, purely because I don't think that any of the managers above him are on a lower level than Steve Bruce. So yeah, I put him in the average section. Right, so the second manager now going in the not Premier League level tier, and it is Daniel Farka of Norwich. To be fair, as I said in my Norwich video, if you want to go and check that out, I made a video on why Norwich City have been relegated from the Premier Premier League. And in that video I even said that I do watch a lot of Norwich because my brother supports Norwich, so I do manage to keep up with all the information on their games, and I do watch them quite a bit. And I think Daniel Farka is quite an interesting one because, again, like Dean Smith, he proved himself at Championship level. He managed to get a very average Norwich team into the Premier League in the first place, but when it came to the Premier League they choked. And yeah, they do play some decent high pressing football, which sometimes Premier League teams don't get away with that, and sometimes you just have to be dogged and grind out results, and Daniel Farka has failed to do that at Norwich ultimately in the Premier League. And also some of the decisions he's made in terms of substitutes and even the starting 11s etc. has just confused me with him, and I just don't think he's a Premier League standard manager. Right, so next up we have Chris Weiler of Sheffield United. Now I have put him in the good manager section. Now many would argue that he should be in the elite level section purely based on what he's done with Sheffield United. He's managed to take him from the Championship up to potentially a Europa League place should results go their way on the final day of the season. However, I've put him in the good category just because I don't think he's at quite that level. I must admit though, I do like the way that his teams play because they've got a very aggressive nature, physical nature, and not only that, they play very good football which involves even the defenders going forward at times, which I don't think he can be any higher and certainly not any lower than the good section here. So yeah, that is why I put him in that section. Next manager we've got now is another one going right in the middle in the OK section. It is Southampton's manager Ralph Hassenhoodle. Now I would heavily debate putting him in a tier higher in the good section, but I've only not done that purely because I think the managers above him in this tier list are a slight step above him. He's done very well with Southampton though. He's managed to get the absolute best out of Danny Ings, who's got 21 Premier League goals going into the final day of the season. And overall, like Chris Weiler, his teams play with a very aggressive nature. They like to press the ball a lot and they do play a quite attacking brand of football. And yeah, overall I think Ralph Hassenhoodle is another one that is heavily underrated by the media in the Premier League. Next manager of course is going into the elite level manager. I have to put Jose Mourinho there. I know I'm a Chelsea fan and I'm not supposed to like him, but I just find it very hard to hate Jose Mourinho. And yeah, I know popular belief will tell you that he has declined over the last few years, and although I believe that to some extent, I mean come on, I don't think you could put Jose Mourinho any lower than the elite manager tier in this video alongside Ancelotti, Klopp and Guardiola, because all the things he's won in his time in the Premier League with Chelsea mainly. He also managed to do quite well with not a great Manchester United squad. He managed to come second fiddle to Manchester City in the 17-18 season, and just so far at his time at Tottenham he's done an okay job, I mean, with the resources he has. And yeah, overall I don't think it's any question that you have to put Jose Mourinho in the top tier. I mean, he just has to be there. Third to last manager we've got in this video is one that's not even in the Premier League anymore, because of course Nigel Pearson has recently been sacked by Watford, which is a very strange decision to me. Now I've put him in the OK section in this video because not only has he done wonders at Watford and was very harshly sacked in my opinion, he did very well with Leicester to not only get them into the Premier League in the first place, but he managed to create the great escape with Leicester in the 14-15 season, which of course led on to them winning the Premier League in 15-16. But yeah, overall he did very well with Watford to take a very much below par side out of the relegation zone, because they literally looked like they were nailed to the foot of the table for the rest of the season when he took over. And look, they might just be safe, so maybe it'll pay off for him in the end, but it'll be by the skins of their teeth. And of course Pearson was the one that got him into the position in the first place. And the penultimate manager of course is West Ham's David Moyes, who I've stuck next to Steve Bruce in the average section of this video. Now in terms of his overall Premier League success, he's managed like 4 or 5 clubs in the Premier League. He did very well with Everton, but then when he went to Manchester United ultimately failed as he finished 7th in the table and got sacked within his first season. Took over at Sunderland, got them relegated, but let's be honest, they were a sinking ship regardless, so I won't put too much of the blame on him for that. And then of course he's now had 2 spells at West Ham, the second one which he's currently in. And yeah, I don't think he's a bad manager by any means. I just want to stress that none of the managers in this video of course are bad managers by any means. It's just in comparison to the entire managers in the Premier League. But yeah, I really can't see David Moyes sticking it out at West Ham for too long, and that is why I put him in the average manager section in this video. And the final manager now is Wolves' Nuno Espirito Santo. I've put him in the good manager section in this video to finish it off. Don't think there's any denying he's done very well with Wolves to get them into the Premier League in the first place. I know they've had financial backing, but he has indeed recruited very well at Wolves and managed to create a very solid side who are not only competing for the Europa League last season, but the fact that we're even talking about Wolves even being in contention for European football in the first place is just absolutely mind-boggling. And yeah, I definitely do think he deserves to be in the category he is in, purely because he's done a very good job with Wolves and hopefully he can take them forward. And yeah guys, that would bring us to the end of this video. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like on the video, that'd be very much appreciated. And yeah, also make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're very close to 150 subscribers, so if we could hit that as soon as possible, that'd be very, very good. And yes, I will see you guys in my next video. See ya.